and welcome to the Cover One Buffalo podcast. You are joining your host, Greg Thompson, along with my AFC Championship bound partner in crime, Aaron. Aaron, how we doing?
2 more wins. We just need 2 more wins, Gregory. He dropped it. I can't believe he dropped it.
Mark Andrews is a lovely human. Like I legitimately like 2 really nasty drops, a fumble. All that aside, the Bills would have had a minute 33 left in a tie ball game. We would have gone down and kicked a game-winning field goal. We were winning that game either way.
I don't need that stress in my Greg.
But my cardiovascular situation was not sustainable.
Yeah. I literally got a heart monitor on. I should call that company and tell them what was going on for the last 3 hours of my life.
From 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Sunday night, please disregard these results.
Why are the people here? Gosh. The people that don't know, if anyone doesn't, was living under a rock.
You are joining because the Buffalo Bills have defeated the Baltimore Ravens 27-25 in the division round of the AFC Championship playoffs. They are bound for the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs next week. The Buffalo Bills have finally broken out of this 3-year doldrum in the division round. You could see the relief on Josh Allen as he fist pumped after that final kneel down, and just the absolute relief of, okay, let's go. We still got it going here. We've talked about how the calm that this team had. One of the rarest game strategies and plans that we've seen, more man defense, more blitzing, more running than we've seen in years. They absolutely catered a game plan specifically for the Baltimore Ravens, who are an exceptional team, who are a fantastic ball club, and it was exactly what they needed. This might have been the only way that we were going to beat them in a game like this. They played not their best game. We talked about that. I've talked a lot about, I think their A+ game might have been better than anybody's in this run. They turned the ball over 3 times. The Buffalo Bills turned the ball over 0 times. You can't do that. You can't do it.
The Bills also didn't play an A+ game, and we'll get through it as we get into the drives there. This game shouldn't have been this close with the way Baltimore turned the ball over, with where the Bills got some of the field position in here. And I don't know, it's hard when you look at a team scoring 25, but a team that averages 30 points. I think one narrative that maybe isn't fully busted here, but definitely is a tough one for some of the people that say the Bills defense never shows up in a playoff game. This was certainly a performance for the defense where they really, I think, willed the Bills to victory in this one and creating, like you said, creating the turnovers. But it wasn't just turnovers, it was holding the field goals, getting some stops, and giving the offense multiple opportunities to really get this game away from the Ravens. Unfortunately, the Bills made it closer than it probably had to be in this one. Granted, Baltimore's got a really good defense on the other side, but all going into this week, Greg, all the talk about this game was, can the Bills defense get any stops, right? Like, can they stop this offense at all? There was not even a lot of conversation about can they stop the Bills on that other side of the ball? And this defense really stepped up to that challenge, and Taylor Rapp went down early and still were able to keep on it and step up to the challenge here. And my hat goes off to Bobby Babbitt, Sean McDermott, and everyone on that defensive side of the ball. They did give up some scores. They gave up the late score, but I expected this to look a lot worse. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think the high variance game plan that they needed, we saw all the crazy blitzing that they were sending, just trying to get Lamar off schedule and confused and not unsure of what he needed to do to be able to plan around everything that was going on was what they needed, because it created those turnovers. And we saw that if we just tried to line up 11v11 and like, hey, we're just going to shut you down. No, we weren't. They had one of the most explosive, balanced offenses in NFL history. We weren't going to just line up. So it was those high variance plays, sending blitzes, being able to get them off schedule, trying to clamp down in the red zone. And we'll show a little bit of that. I saw Chad here in the chat talking about why do we always go to that bend but don't break. it's not always by choice. Like they
didn't try to give up some of the explosives that
yeah,
got.
they'd love to have 3 and outs and just, blow people off the ball all the time. Baltimore's offense is awesome. That's really, really tough. Justin, your city of losers, huh? Yeah, I did like that they leaned into that early on. And our guy Patton, always awesome. We're in the end game now. In Avengers Endgame, it took them 5 years before they figured out how to defeat Thanos. Good thing Aaron is on your left. Go Bills.
That's it, man.
Oh,
Thanks, Patton.
on your left.
One other bit of a narrative that maybe played into this game that is a common one is the idea that the Bills need a dome and we shouldn't play indoors. But I think the elements had something to do with some of the lacking on offense. Certainly the drops, the fumbles, things like that in this game for the Ravens. I think the Bills play better in some of these conditions and have a team that is just as balanced where they can play in some of these conditions. I'm sure some people will say it didn't matter at all, but the guys are slipping around this field. Like, it wasn't great conditions for them. It's hard to come up and tackle. I think it made some of a difference when you have a game that's everybody's calling a coin flip. That can be all you need to make the difference, right? We saw Lamar mishandle a ball, fumbled one. Mark Andrews, obviously with the drop, he had a fumble as well. Hard ball, slippery ball in these conditions plays into that. This is a team that doesn't turn the ball over a ton, Greg.
Yeah, it's I think Lamar they overplayed it a little bit. I think they didn't talk about the fact how many fumbles he had lost during the season.
Sure.
He did have fewer interceptions. Lamar had more turnovers than Josh Allen this year. So obviously quarterbacks, they always talk about interceptions. His touchdown to interception ratio is historic, like all-time Aaron Rodgers level stuff. He did have, double-digit turnovers on the year, and that came up in the game tonight. The first interception was because he was, thrown off by the blitz, and you had, I think it was Terrell Bernard was almost at him in the blitz, and then later on, just ball security, and he had fumbling issues all season long. So, it was something where the punch out later on Mark Andrews, was, just some bad luck on his right. Again, I feel for Mark Andrews. He's a really good player. Like,
I'm a good dude. Seems like a great dude.
Just below Hall of Famer. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but like an exceptionally good dude.
And had such a tough year
player
to get back to where he was.
Came back from injury, early drop, gets the punch out for the fumble later, drops the 2-point conversion. Again, I have full confidence that with a minute 33 left, the Bills would have gone down and gotten the field goal needed to win the game in regulation. But that sucks because, again, he's a good dude, and that is no way to end your season.
Thank you, AK Cash. Appreciate you, man, all day.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Paul was active in the Discord channel, so we had a crazy time with the Discord channel. Everybody going through it. Paul was in there, and it's 3 a.m. still listening to us here. Unbelievable.
Thank you, Paul.
I think Lettuce, you're a little overplaying it. I get it that at the end people wanted to do the 2 tush pushes, and we'll talk about that when it comes up. He also schemed up some unbelievable plays earlier to get them down into scoring range. They talked about that 4-by-1, and Baltimore is a really good, like, very talented defense. I know they played ugly early on, but they showed since week 11 they're literally number 1 in the NFL.
I was frustrated with the offense.
27 points on them.
I was frustrated with the offense in that third quarter specifically, and some of it towards Brady, but some of it was also execution, right? Like, those are plays that we do know work. It's something Eric and I are always talking about when we're deeming frustration at necessarily coordinator. Sometimes it's execution. Those plays were working, and then they stopped. So I agree with the sentiment around that comment by your boy Lettuce. I do think it's probably too far. I do think Brady had plenty of good calls in this game, and the body of work is really good overall. And it was enough to win. That you scored enough in a game against a really good defense to win. But I do think the defense deserves more of the credit here tonight as we praise this victory.
Yeah. Again, the playoffs are tough. You're only playing really good teams.
That's it.
It's not even playing down to your competition or both. Sometimes when we play a crappy team and you have to realize, like, hey, both guys get paid here. They're still professionals. Like, no, this is 2 of the best teams in the league. The Ravens are exceptional. Of course, this was going to be tough. There was no scenario where this was going to be a boat race. They were never going to come back in this.
How many people were saying this was like the Super Bowl? How many people? This is the biggest game that we've seen in a decade of the playoffs, right? With 2 MVPs and total teams that are playing at their best. I Vegas had this as a super close, right? This was a toss up. ESPN had it like a 50-50 split. We were talking this week, like this is a coin toss game. And that is exactly how it played out. It was a coin toss game. It came down to Mark Andrews dropping a 2-point conversion to tie it with minute 30 left. Like it couldn't be any closer. So yeah, I think there's a lot more good than bad. Even if we're going to say anything bad, like the offense wasn't great in the third quarter, keep that in mind that it's still good. Like they still had a good day. They still put up some points here.
Yeah, I think that it was, early on, I think that we caught them off guard very clearly. When we were up 21-10, they weren't ready for the defensive game plan we came out with. They weren't ready for the run-heavy game plan. So the Bills coaches certainly won the first round of this boxing match, the first 2 or 3 rounds maybe. And then rightfully, Baltimore, really good coaching staff,
Great
like
coaching
they
staff.
adjusted and came back and they won those 4th and 5th rounds and came back. But they were able to come up with the plays that were needed. They were able to make the stops that were needed. And again, I think there could have been a few more things later on. But this is one of those times a year where the results are truly all that matters. And being able to be in that spot, I think kind of helps, give them more to work on. That they're also going to go and break this down and get ready for Kansas City. And now they're going to need, again, that I think the same way we saw like a genuinely bespoke game plan for the Ravens here, like very, very customized specifically for that team. A lot of tonight doesn't matter all that much because Kansas City is a very different team. Like they're just an incredibly different ball club. We're going to have a different game plan for them. So hopefully we're able to take some notes here and get out of the mindset of some of the things that didn't work. But honestly, some of it probably is going to.
I love this one. Thank you. My name is Jeff. Appreciate the contribution
my
here. And then
God.
here's $1 for every time Romo said Baltimore is bigger than Buffalo, and he gave us $20. He's not. He might have went a little over here, but it's not much over.
So help me out here. Am I just being like a homer and I'm triggered because I was listening for it? Like he was obnoxiously rooting for Baltimore the entire game. Like it was worse than I can remember in most like big time playoff games. Like it was like there was even one point where like he was going on and on about, I don't know, there's nothing they can do. I'm not even sure they can stop this. And Jim tried to like kind of dial him back, but I don't know, Baltimore's gonna have a chance here. And Romo literally went like, I doubt it. Like, what the hell? Like it just seemed way over the top for what normally like pretty classy announcers normally do. It just, Romo was way over the top, like outright rooting for Baltimore through the game. It was weird.
Yeah, it felt like, I mean, honestly, that has been the talking point every show today when they would go into halftime and talk about this Bills game. Every single person would be like, "Well, the Bills love to play nickel. They're not going to be able to do it. They're too small. They play small. They're not going to be able to play small." And I think he just parroted a lot of that, but it was excessive in this game, and it did seem like he favored the Ravens, which I don't mind national media. Like I know Bills fans get really sensitive to that stuff. I don't mind the media picking the Ravens in this one, but I think some people went
Ravens
a little over the top of like how much better the Ravens were. And I think we saw it tonight. Like I said it all week long, Greg. This game is a 50-50. You play 10 times, the Bills win 5. I was hoping this was one of the 5. It certainly was. And I think the conversation got a little like people were almost making it like it was like an 8-10. Ravens are that much better than the Bills, and I couldn't see that. We got another one here from Bryant Fuhrer. You're better with names than I am. Sometimes you're not always better with names than I am.
I was just gonna say, I careful because sometimes when you just read them out loud live, they get you.
Name right, but anyways, it says here you go. Every point the Bills scored. Nothing makes me happier than being here and hearing Greg's good evening. Absolutely love you guys, and I'm so glad we won. I'm here to just chill and vibe with y'all. I'm here to vibe with you too, Brian. I hope we get to vibe a couple more times, dude. I want to do this 2 more times with you guys here.
2 more.
Greg, you want to get into some of the?
Yeah, let's get into a couple of the numbers here. This is not the prettiest box score just because we had short fields from the turnovers in several of the scenarios. So Josh was 16 of 22 for 127 yards passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. The Bills had no turnovers overall, but efficient, efficient ball, being able to do 16 out of 22. So being able to have 73% completion percentage kept things moving.
Took what he
Same
gave.
thing.
Yeah.
That came together from the run game as well. We had some of the tush pushes and some of the ones that got stuffed. So 10 carries for 20 yards, not as most impressive there, but 2 touchdowns. Ray Davis ran in a touchdown. James Cook, 17 carries for 67 tough yards. So 36 carries for 147 yards. 4.1 yards a carry isn't the most impressive clip that we've had all season, but it was very much kind of controlling the clock and being able to be, in that kind of dominant position throughout. We got that early lead. I talked over and over again about the game script and that we couldn't let them get out to that kind of crazy one. It's really, really tough.
Yeah, I think the numbers are a little wonky. The 4.1 average is a little weird because when the Bills were in the when it was more of a game in the first half, they were kind of running how they wanted to. It didn't really become less until you got to that third quarter where I think the Bills did get a little too conservative and the Ravens knew it was coming and they were selling out for the run. And that's kind of when the numbers started to drop and started to slow down a little bit. But when they needed it and they were in the game script of it was still an open game, I think that they did a good job of getting the yards they needed. And dude, how cool is it? And we'll get to it in the drive of the game for Ray Davis, who it did not look good last week, right? We were all super concerned for Ray Davis after that hit he took to come out and score a touchdown in a playoff game. Super cool. And honestly, the way he was running, man, I would have liked to see a little bit more Ray Davis in a playoff game like this. He looked hard to tackle. He was running hard and would have been. I know it's a future conversation that we have to have, but that contract that Cook is probably going to be due from another team. It feels good to have Ray Davis back there looking good and getting some playoff reps.
Yeah, 4 carries for 29 yards, looked explosive. Definitely a really nice 1-2 punch. Ty Johnson, same thing, 5 carries for 31 yards. The two of them, 6.2 and 7.3 yards a carry.
Couple nice receptions for Ty again too.
Oh, yeah, of course. Always looking good in the passing game. James Cook's 17 for 67 is not any indication on him.
They ran him right into the middle a bunch.
Yeah, there was a lot. And we were genuinely kind of managing the clock a little bit at the end, maybe too much in a couple spots. But definitely kind of balance where it is. A couple more of these super chats here. Cal, Ravens are a good organization. Their fans are insufferable. My receipts in my bookmarks are getting unloaded as the evening goes. I'm just going to kind of let some of those waft throughout there.
It's a shame because I actually like Baltimore, man. I look at them as I defend McDermott a lot with Harbaugh and say like this is a good organization. This has been an organization that's been good my entire adult life. Like I have a lot of respect for them as an organization. Even like Jerry Coleman making that comment, I know people were kind of hard on Harbaugh. Like he kind of was like, dude, I can't believe I asked you. Like they're a respectable organization. Lamar came right up to Josh Allen after this game. Like who has more pressure on him than Lamar Jackson besides Josh Allen, right? Like those two have the most pressure on him. He just lost another big playoff game that he was supposed to win. This is tons of pressure. He came right up. Like even Mark Andrews, who just had a terrible gut wrenching, multiple turnover and a drop. Like these guys are all class in terms of the organization as far as I see and how they present it. But man, their fans couldn't be more opposite of that. And I didn't interact.
Are pretty cool too. Most of the guys that we do, like Jake and Cole, and the guys that we interact with are good dudes. Like
cool.
I enjoy. There's some teams where I don't like their content creators. Like I kind of enjoy twisting the knife. Like I like the Ravens fans or the Ravens content guys. Their fans, holy crap, man, just really, really insufferable. So right there with you, Cal. Brad here said really gonna savor this one, despite there being a lot of room for improvement. That's Sean McDermott's favorite win are the wins where there's room for improvement that you can still grind
Kansas
guys
City,
on the film.
Kansas City still hasn't played a great game. There's a lot of
made
room
an
for
entire season out of wins with lots of room for improvement. And as Jeffrey says here, to quote the great Bill Belichick, we're on to Kansas City. You're darn right. You're darn right.
Tuesday, I'm going to savor this one for a little bit.
Tuesday, I got a minute. I got a minute to wait on that one. All right. So the receiving core, not a ton because it wasn't a super, prominent passing game, but some critical conversions from Khalil Shakir, a tough catch and run for Mac Hollins, a diving catch from Dalton Kincaid, some swings out of the backfield from Cook, and then a smattering here from Samuel Ty Johnson. They had been setting up. They kept doing that overload formation where Mac Hollins comes in like almost behind the tackle. And they kept running out of that over and over and over again. We were spamming it and running it over and over again because we kept getting yards. And they set up that slant from Keon Coleman, and they were like an ankle swipe away from Keon taking that to the house. Like he had it and had a head of steam going, but they swiped his ankle, so he only got 5 yards out of it. But they had been setting that up there. Tried to go to Amari Cooper once, which is starting to get a little weird. Like, this is the game I kind of thought they were going to feature him a little bit more, because beating Baltimore, one of the ways to do it is on the outside against their corners.
Sure.
And we didn't go to him at all. So kind of still keeping him in the garage is a little bit weird. And then that one tight end screen to Knox looked wonky, but he was run blocking like a maniac tonight. So
yeah, he really was. They didn't really attack downfield in that way at all. And so like this is one of those things where I'm constantly conflicted, where I look at the statistics, right? I look at the film and see what a team's not doing great and like, hey, let's attack them there. But that team's also doing that, right? Like that team's also trying to get better and take away those things, like the Bills in the run game. We saw a bunch of different stuff from the Bills in the run game to stop the run early and to stop some of that stuff. I want to go back and kind of look at some of what the Ravens were doing on the outside to see if they took some of those looks away. Maybe it was weather related and they just said, hey, we're not going to force those throws downfield. We're going to win in this other way and just try to kind of matriculate the ball down the field. I don't know, but I also saw that, right, and attacking the Ravens, and we just didn't see it in this game. And I do think you're going to need that next week in Kansas City. So hopefully Amari Cooper does have a big playoff game here coming in the next couple of rounds. But yes, it is a little concerning that they haven't really been able to get him going, because this felt like the week where you could really work some of those matchups.
Yeah. And, again, it's still a tool in the tool belt. We'll kind of see
what a great problem to have, a luxury that you don't need.
So nice. We got a nice wide receiver one just kind of floating over there. Jojo here. Just want to show my thanks for you all on this channel. Thank you, man. That means a lot. There's been so much fun. We got, again, as Aaron said, 2 more games. It's going to be a great run here. Yes. We're going to be there with you this entire time. The offensive line deserves enormous kudos. This is a really tough front. It doesn't, like I said, we talked about, it doesn't have like that one superstar guy that, the Myles Garrett, the Max Crosby type, future Bills like Max Crosby or Myles Garrett. But they do have a bunch of different studs. I don't know that I remember Justin Madubuike or Nnamdi Madubuike, I believe he goes by now. I don't believe I recall Nnamdi Madubuike's name once tonight. Right. I remember a tough player 2 by Van Noy, like he circled in the one. But this offensive line gave Josh time when he needed and continually created creases. At one point, I think we had 20 carries to 6 passes because we were just bashing the ball down the field over and over again. That's not easy against a front like this. Michael Pierce, and they got some big beefy dudes
Pierce
on that front.
Jones, people are frustrated that we're running right into the middle and not getting a ton, but I mean, getting anything against Pierce and Jones, those are big dudes to move out of the way and playoff football.
That's legitimately like over 700 pounds between those 2 dudes.
Yeah, it's a good line. And for none of them to really stand out when you look at the stats here, Madubuike had 7 tackles and a half a sack, but he didn't stand out in the broadcast necessarily to me, and you didn't really see anyone else step up and stand out. And that's we say it all the time, when you don't have to talk about the offensive line, they've probably done at least their job, right?
Yes, correct. That's always the best indication, as opposed to referees, where normally when you don't talk about them, it's great. There were some really horrible calls in both directions. I'm not going to pretend this was one sided. This was not a Houston, Kansas City situation where it was horrible calls, all of them one sided. Right. Ed Oliver should have been called for a late hit. We had a ridiculous offensive pass interference we should have got called for, but there was some insane call, like that snatch trap that they got Deion Dawkins for on a hold, where it went, instead of 3rd and 2, it went to 2nd and 22 and like just stole a possession from us where we were going to at least get a field goal. Just some of those are really impactful, and the fact that this entire playoffs has been just marred by bad officiating. Again, I don't want to go on my rant. I'll save it for the offseason, but just give each referee one Secret Service guy in their ear. Like, they, instead of having the one guy in New York City that does all the stuff, give each referee one of those guys. That guy up in the booth, that's the partner for that referee, has cameras on that guy's job. And every single time a thing comes up, he's just in his ear, but yeah, go with it. That's the right call. Or no, hey, pick that back up. That wasn't it. Like instantly, just give him that feedback in his ear. They're partners. Like it doesn't have to, like, just give him a partner that's watching out for him. Make it real time. And you could do so much of this where you don't even need reviews. They could just be like, hey, no, pick that one back up. It hit the ground. That's not a
It's
catch.
literally what they
Like,
do on the broadcast.
instantly.
The broadcast has a guy to come in and be like, hey,
We
Joe, what do
know
you think
right
of this?
then. And that's one
Right.
guy. Like,
Yes.
give that guy all the angles to be partnered with each of those guys. There's 7 on the field or 5, and I don't know what it is. Put 7 guys in the booth. Give each guy a partner. With the NFL's got money falling out of their pockets, we can afford 7 guys to sit up in the booth.
Yes, and I know,
Makes me
like,
crazy.
it's so weird that a business that's so profitable and takes so much of our attention, and there's so much riding on this, just doesn't seem to care. Like, they don't seem to care about players' health. They don't seem to care about the product in terms of getting these calls right. You would think it would be a better product and a more enjoyable experience for everybody. Like, and nobody wants more calls, but we want the calls that are being called to be right? Like, that's all we're asking for.
Yeah. So Ethan here, back-to-back MVP, coughing the ball up twice. Couldn't be us. That's a shame. Our MVP quarterback had no turnovers.
Yeah,
It's
I
weird.
will give it to Lamar though. Like, I thought the way the game script went and them needing to get away from Henry there late because they had to pass to push the ball down the field. I thought that was going to be a moment for him of like, he really did lead that team down the field. He made some plays with his legs, extended plays, and then got the touchdown. And then Mark Andrews really let him down. Like, that was about to be a huge achievement. I don't know if they would have gone on to win the game, but if they would have tied that game and not having to lean into Henry, it's a bummer for Lamar because I do respect him. I love him.
He was about to have the Josh Allen moment from the 13 seconds game where he had that crazy game and like he's going to watch Josh go down the field and set up and kick the game-winning field goal, and he's going, oh man, if Lamar had got the ball one more time, that's what he was about to have for that entire offseason. But instead, they'll get to be mad at themselves, I guess. So Kate here saying, I can't believe a team of 6 All-Pros lost to a rebuilding team. Go Bills. This is fantastic. Kate, thank you. I love pettiness. RC here, Victory Monday. I was more concerned about the Ravens and the Chiefs. Also feel bad for my earlier comment about Allen playing well and Lamar MVP. And, we'll let you slide. We'll let you slide.
Yeah.
All right. On the defensive side of the ball here, again, up and down. Von Miller with a fumble recovery ran back. Obviously, if Von Miller was any good, he probably would have scored on that play. He was so old that he only ran it back for like
we
40
can't go
or 50
past
yards.
that play though. Damar Hamlin has gotten so much crap this year for him to make a play like that in space against a Lamar Jackson. I'm one of the biggest Damar Hamlin supporters there are. I was nervous when I saw him one-on-one with Lamar Jackson in space and was like, oh no. And then he made the tackle, which caused Lamar to kind of spin out and fumble the ball. And then, Vaughn taking it and almost housing it was fantastic. But outside of one play too, Damar had himself a pretty good game. He had another shoestring stop on Henry that was about to be an 80-something yard run that would have really broken the Bills' back. He came up early, made a bunch of stops. He had to run stuff right before that wrap interception. So overall, pretty good game. But I think a lot of people will focus on the one deep ball that he was definitely flat-footed for. But Rasul Douglas also, God, he's having a tough end of the year here. Rasul is. Don't love that. But overall, I thought the safeties, even Bishop, when he had to come in and spell, Rapp looked good early, and then Bishop looked pretty good coming in and spell in that spot.
Yeah, I felt good about Bishop. Yeah, Rasul, I love him as a player. He's a really heady guy. I think he's a very smart player. I think he's been a great addition to this team. We're seeing the reason that, hey, you don't normally sign 30-plus-year-old corners is probably going to be a new guy we're going to need next year, but he's still here for this run. And making plays. He made a clutch onside kick recovery that I appreciate greatly.
Yes, sir.
I thought the defensive line flashed certainly more than the week 4 game where they got dominated. There was a couple ugly drives there in the third quarter that I totally get the frustration over, but Gregory Rousseau keeping contained, Ed Oliver causing way more disruption this game than the other.
Dude.
AJ Epinesa with one of the best games he's had this whole season. Like, he flashed multiple times this game that I do not recall from earlier in the year, like that many in one game. Jordan
Daquan
Phillips
Jones
had a couple flashes. Daquan had the one that doesn't even show up in the box score where he caused the sack that Lamar got tripped over the center's feet because Daquan blew the center up so quickly that it knocked him back there. So it's
even Groot, like we expect excellence out of Groot. He had a solid game. Like he made a number of
Yeah.
solid plays. Yeah, no, I thought honestly, Ed Oliver, that's probably the thing I'm most excited to go back and watch. Eric was talking about
Yeah.
like he needed to have a big rebound game in this one, and I think that he
Yep.
met the moment really well. The
Oh,
box
yeah.
score, I don't know what the box score shows for him.
He had
Not
one
much.
official tackle for a loss, 3 tackles,
Yeah,
but he was in there disrupting
dude,
stuff, just blowing stuff up over and
throwing
over
guys
again.
around. Yeah,
Yeah, and again, he's never going to be a stout one tech, two
sure.
gapping run defense guy. He is a disruptor, and he disrupted tonight.
Yep.
I'm sure that there are some plays that are ugly on those couple touchdown drives where they ran the ball down the field. Ed's never going to look good in those situations. Fortunately, we just knocked out the team with the best running games in the AFC. Hopefully, we'll have to deal with that in the Super Bowl. We'll see when that comes up later on.
Not to get sidetracked here, but quite a run. I know we got killed a little bit. Some dude on Facebook was going at me for saying the Denver Broncos were one of the best defenses in the AFC, but the Bills just went up against one of the best defenses in the AFC, and then they just beat the best offense in football. Quite a run here so far into the postseason. Now they're going to go up against one of the most clutch teams, but not one of the best offenses or the best defenses. Quite battle tested here as we get into this next round.
Yeah, I think they've really been forced to go through tests. And again, the biggest encouraging thing for me is the fact that they created such a customized game plan for this game. And I expect the exact same thing for next week to be able to have a specific game plan just for Kansas City. I think our offense will be different. I think our defense will be different. And I think that's what you need to do to be able to be in these situations.
Yeah.
Anything else on defense that stood out?
Not off the top of my head. I'm concerned if anybody sees
Taylor Rapp
anything
had
while
the
we're.
interception before he went out early.
Yeah, Taylor Rapp got the interception, but that was really, I think that was a Matt Milano induced interception. He had that pressure there and it really forced Lamar to overthrow that ball. But good on Rapp for being in his spot, getting that pick. I am concerned about that Rapp injury. So
Real quick, I had the exact same feeling as Pat when Justice Hill was running Von down. I'm like, don't punch it out, don't punch it out, don't punch it out.
Yeah,
I had the exact same dread.
He held on to him, man.
Yeah, no, he was good. He was good.
Yeah, Vaughn was ready. Yeah, if anybody in the chat does see, we are not on Twitter searching the internet right now. So if anybody sees anything on Rapp, I know it was a hip. I'm sure we're not going to hear anything as we get into the week here, but definitely concerning to see him get carted off and them on the sideline saying he was in significant pain. Not ideal. It's nice that you have Cole Bishop. We like his ceiling, but you want Taylor Rapp out there here going forward. So just keep us posted if you guys hear anything. I'm not expecting anything tonight, though.
Yeah. I don't expect to see anything either. How about the fact that special teams was kind of a nothing burger for both teams? Like we had a nice return, they had one decent return. All the kickers made all their kicks. Our kicker went Tyler Bass 5 for 5, 2 field goals, and including, we'll talk about it when it comes up on the drive by drive, a clutch, deep field goal that really, really mattered. He had a 51-yarder that was like into the net 3/4 of the way up the uprights. He crushed that.
Crushed it. Is it terrible that I was more concerned about the last one that was like a really close one than the 51-yarder with Bass? Like there's something that like I feel better with Bass from a deep kick than I do of like that one that's real close because he's missed so many extra points this year. But multiple clutch kicks from Bass. Good. They got a couple good returns on the special teams, and then Sam Martin had a punt. Unfortunately, one of his punts did roll into the end zone, but he had multiple good punts. So his net is probably not great because that one was a touchback, but it was still a good punt. The coverage just kind of stopped. I think they thought it was going to drop sooner than it did.
So we're normally really, really good at this and very disciplined. We fell for the returner running up to the 12 and pretending he was going to catch it. Like it happens. They're humans. Normally we're pretty disciplined. They're good about like spotting the ball and getting ready because they had time to go down it. So again, that probably cost them like 15 yards of field position to be in that spot. But it didn't matter because they fumbled on the on that drive anyway. So it
definitely hurts his net for the day. But I think he had a good game.
It could have looked better. Looked better. And that one wasn't necessarily on him. Like he positioned that where it could have certainly been a nice downed one there. And again, I'm giving Tyler Bass credit for the game-winning field goal he was going to kick if Mark Andrews had caught it. So Tyler Bass would have ended up 3 for 3 on field goals and 3 for 3 on extra points and made all of them and been the hero with the game-winning field goal. So,
and I'm giving Matthew Smiley credit for not pissing me off.
Yeah,
right? Like
way
it's like the offensive line. If I don't have to talk about it, then I'm happy. And so I didn't have to talk
shout out
about
to
Connor.
Matthew Smiley not having to deal with the Texans guy planting the seed
Oh
yesterday,
my
where he
god,
ran up and like two hand shoved their special teams
dude,
coach.
that dude should have been just taken out. You can't do that. Like
Um,
they should have just.
so their season's over, and if anybody has odds anywhere, I'll take bets that that guy's not a Houston Texan next year.
You can't do that.
Yeah, we'll see where that one goes. All right, let's go through any other. So Cliff here, let's clean out any other super chats before we go to the drive by drive. Cliff here, each line had playoff good days, survive in advance. Yeah, I think the trenches were exactly what we needed. This is a really good team. Their offense is the beefiest offense in the NFL. So Philadelphia is just as good of a run game, but in a different way, more technically sound, and Saquon's explosive. This is like the most powerful offensive run game with the most electric running quarterback in NFL history. The fact that we held up against that is the hardest test in that game of what we can ever expect to see. I hope that we have to worry about that in a Super Bowl preview that we'll get to talk about later on. But the fact that we held up like that, and the offensive line, I thought we were fantastic today. Osiris Torrance had a couple clutch plays. Deion Dawkins, as always, looked fantastic. And Connor McGovern playing tough, like really had maybe a hyperextended elbow and on his snapping arm and got it taped up and went back in and snapped the rest of the
They
game
just
and
like
played
spit
great.
on it and put some athletic
Rub
tape
some
and,
dirt on it. Like,
yeah.
good Lord, I am not built for that life. Like,
Oh my god,
NFL players are they're
dude.
wild.
When Taron Johnson got hurt, my wife was like, "It didn't look like anything." I was like, "That would have put us in the hospital. Just like
Yeah,
falling on
I
that
would-
turf, we would have been done.
I'd still be
Urgent
laying
care.
there on the turf
Yeah,
right now. I was still be
urgent
there.
care trip. Yeah,
Patton here saying he checked the script. Wait here, it says the Bills defense and coaches are showing up in the playoffs. Who wrote this dribble?
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Literally
are going to be quiet this week.
perfect time management.
Yeah.
Literally perfect time management at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Took some risks running it down because they needed to force them to take timeouts, but absolutely perfect time management at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive in on our drive by drive. Opened up obviously the Denver special, and we've had it over and over again this season, facing scripted plays and opening drives. Our defense just, it's not our specialty. It's not what we do well. Ravens come out 8 plays, 73 yards, and just like in the Denver game, we got him into third and long. We got him there early, and we sent a blitz. And
this was that odd mirror look too, and
yeah,
Milano just jumped the gun a little bit.
He got a little greedy. If he stayed a little bit more patient, I think he keeps the angle, and Lamar isn't able to run, and we
forces Lamar to
throw away.
Yeah,
or gets tackled for like a 5-yard gain where they're short of it, and instead Lamar Jackson, who's ridiculous, like he's so good, ran for 9 yards, converts. He then hits likely on the deep ball up the seam for 39 yards, gets him a scoring position. 3 plays later, finds Bateman in the end zone on a play where he created, in my mind, it felt like 30 seconds, but it was at least 5 or 6 seconds just sitting there floating, creating time in the backfield. And Lars saying, I will die saying that Coleman PI was the right call. Yeah.
I don't know. I have to look at it again.
I'll take it. My lens that I look at every penalty is, if the Bills got called for that, would I be like, fine, or would I be pissed? If the Bills got called for the PI that they called Coleman, they called against Trey White for Coleman, I would have been furious. I would have been lit. Like, there was just very to me, that's a no call, hand fighting, both guys fighting for position kind of thing. But I'll take it because he's on a critical third down and we scored a touchdown. So I'll take it.
Yeah, that was a big one. I'd be pretty frustrated if I was a Ravens fan for sure. Big
one here. M Klaus 85. You guys have been amazing all year long. Can't wait to watch the film room you guys share this week. Yeah, Eric, I can't wait to see where Eric and Anthony cook up with this film. It's going to be fantastic. But thank you, very generous. You really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, make sure you're following on social medias, and I'm sure cut-ups will be coming everyone's way tomorrow as well. Back to this first drive. What I will say, frustrating, right? They scored. We get it. Frustrating. Giving up multiple third downs and a touchdown on a third down. Also super frustrating. Like you said, sort of expect it. This is why we didn't want the Ravens to get the ball first, right? It did not allow that game streak to get out. We thought that they would score first. But the thing that's was intriguing, or at least made me feel better about this, was it was Henry 1 yard, Henry 1 yard, Henry 2 yards. So the thing that everybody said you couldn't do, you sold out, you gave some new looks, and you did it. You stopped Derrick Henry. They beat you in the air. And my thinking was like, okay, I think you can adjust and make some of those things. If they're going to beat us, then I want it to be with Lamar's arm. I don't want it to be with the thing that they told us. Like, I didn't want it to be 8-minute drives of Derrick Henry just punching us in the face over and over again. And it felt like in that first drive, like they figured out something where they were going to get it going. And the defensive line really stepped up in this drive. It wasn't their fault that the scores happened. It was defensive backs. And so there was a little bit of silver lining in that drive of like, okay, I think once we settle down, we can make this a game.
Andrew here, who's also a good follow on Twitter. Pats fan checking in to say this: bury the Chiefs and I root for the Bills to win it all.
Yeah.
We appreciate
the world is rooting for us this week.
Yeah,
no, everyone's sick of this.
Yeah. Everyone's sick of the Chiefs, so I'll.
And the Bills are likable. Now that the
Yes,
Lions
correct.
are out of it, like I think most people want to see the Bills are a lovable loser. I think most people are on our side.
Yeah, absolutely. Griffin here saying Ravens fan here, please beat Mahomes. We got you, brother. I will say I even said that beforehand, despite how infuriating some of your fellow fans are, because some of them are really, really bad. A lot of them talked a lot of trash and are going to really, really dislike the amount of receipts that are out there that they wrote checks that their team did not back up. I said openly that I would still be rooting for the Ravens to beat the Chiefs if sure. They won today. So I appreciate that. I would have been doing the same. So we'll see. We'll do our best for you there. Cliff Saints here. Lamar has been must watch since Louisville. He's sick. He's unbelievable, dude. Like I've gotten tired of Patrick Mahomes. Like he's awesome, but I've gotten tired of him. Lamar's awesome. Like I openly enjoy watching Lamar Jackson. Yep. He's fantastic. I'm glad I don't have to face him
anymore. I don't want
to.
Did not want to play.
Terrifying. I'll worry about that next year. But yeah, it's when he's not playing the Bills, it's a ton of fun. The Bills fortunately answered right back after there, and it's really what we needed. This was I kept using the analogy in the Discord channel of a heavyweight boxing match, and that round one ended up being a 10-10 tie because the Bills went 11 plays, 70 yards, and went directly down the field. Obviously hit the deep one to Shakir was the huge play of this drive, but just a lot of positive plays over and over again. Even got stuffed on the one run, but then converted on the fourth down, immediately staying aggressive, going for it when we needed to. But a lot of run plays on this drive to be able to go through in the final. Let's see. The final 8 plays were run plays as we ran it in. That was from after the 34-yard pass to Shakir. Once we got to the Baltimore 34, we ran it in those final 34 yards on 8 straight pass plays, and then the finishing touchdown run by Ray Davis to tie it up 8-8.
Yep, I know. I say it all the time. Allen's weatherproof. I think he can throw in any conditions, but there is a return on investment of one having a team that can run and can run well. And this was something that I thought the Bills got away from too early in that Baltimore matchup in Week 4, where they got down and then kind of leaned into Allen a little too much. And I didn't want them to do it. And they showed in this drive that they were going to commit to the run in this game. And I'm glad they did because it looked good and they established some of that physicality. I know like there's a lot of people that talk about you don't need to run and running's not efficient. You don't need to run to set up the pass. You should just pass all the time. But there's a physicality element to running that doesn't show up. It's not quantitative. You can't put it in a stat sheet or in the box score, and you could see it in this first drive that the Bills had. It's not my drive of the game, but I think it is just as important as the drive of the game in terms of setting up what the offense was going to do in terms of you're a good defense. We're not scared to also punch you back in the face.
And I think one of the big pivots here is Charles X, appreciate you, brother. I really appreciate the support here. You guys have been awesome tonight. Is coming right back and feeling like, all right, man, here we go again. And I won't lie, like when Lamar on the 2nd and 11, when he rolled out and uncorked it deep, I was like, oh God, who's down there? Like, because it just, we're kind of conditioned to guys getting loose or there being people in space. And this was early on when we were sending pressure, and we sent that blitz after him, and Lamar just got sped up in the first half. He played great in the second half. Like, Lamar legit played really clean, good football in the second half. But in the first half, Bobby Babbage and Sean McDermott were in his head, and this is a perfect example
Pressures
because
matter.
he just floated one. Like,
Yeah.
he wasn't even that close to Bateman. I wasn't even sure if there was another receiver behind him. Steven over here in Geneva, Switzerland, checking out. We appreciate 20 Swiss francs. My bonus gets paid in Swiss francs, so I'm always very familiar with what our Swiss francs come in. So I appreciate you very much. I almost thought there was another receiver behind Bateman because it was such a bad overthrow. When Rapp caught it, I was like, was there somebody else supposed to be back there? No, it was just like 10 yards over Bateman's head. It was ugly.
Yeah. Pressures matter. It's a constant debate that I'm having for some reason, but it's 2024. We shouldn't have to have this conversation anymore. There's so much data showing that pressure impacts QBs. And this play is a great example of it. I do want to go back to the first down. Henry got stuffed again. We just talked about it on the first drive where it was 1 yard, 1 yard. He got stuffed again. It was Hamlin and Von Miller in on a 1 yard loss. Really great rep by Hamlin there. And Von Miller in on that tackle, and then on that wrap one, just Milano, it was kind of like a delayed blitz too coming in. Milano was super impactful in this game. He definitely didn't make some of the splash plays that we're used to him making, but he was just kind of always in a spot to make a play or force a pressure or do something, running that odd mirror front still, getting it up in on him. But yeah, the pressure was definitely getting to Lamar early. You got to keep doing it, man. Sacks are cool. Sacks are great. But if pressures lead to interceptions, even better. Interceptions way more than sacks. Thank you.
And here, this should have really been the big time counter that the Bills needed, and could have maybe even put it further out of reach than what it was early on.
This frustrated me the most out of the offensive drives, like, because he got the ball like midfield here too.
Yeah,
right?
So they're going up, and they're in, position to really be able to take advantage here. They get a nice chunk right on the first play, 11 yards right on the first play. They go jumbo set, and Baltimore's ready. We get a 1 yard loss. Then we go, and Josh hits Curtis Samuel for 8 yards. So it's not 3rd and 3. It's going to be at the Baltimore 39. We're in great position. And they call that ridiculous holding penalty. And I will say, there are times where doing a snatch trap, you can pull the defender's arms down, and it actually is holding because you're pulling them and you're holding, and you're ended up taking down, and then you fall on top of them. And where they do it, this was like teach tape, perfect technique, chopping down very quickly in one quick motion where you just chop down, and then he didn't flop on him and hold him down on the ground. Like, it was exactly what you want guys to do. I don't even understand how to go about it. It just was infuriating. That knocks it back to 2nd and 21. So now we're back there. We get a little bit of it back on Owe jumping offside. So it's 2nd and 16. And then the one sack of the game. We've been really good all season at adjusting to pressures. This one, they just sent an overload to the one side, and we didn't set up the protection to slam out to the left.
Funky. Yeah.
So, basically, Kyle Van Noy came untouched from the side, and Josh just kind of went forward so that we only lost 1 yard, and it didn't get worse. Mm-hmm. And then we took a shot on 3rd and 17 and ended up having to punt. And it just felt like the refs stole a possession here, where at a minimum, it's 3rd and 3 at the 39. We're probably going to convert there, but at worst case scenario, we could get a field goal. Bass was looking great.
I was told snatch traps weren't even a thing, but I did see it in real life.
Back in my day, we usually just call it playing football.
Just playing football. It's not a move.
It's not a thing.
These are the spots that we were talking about earlier, Greg, where the NFL officials need to be able to step in, and because I can understand how real time an official sees a guy go down like that, and they're human too, and there's a lot going on. It's so many guys watching 11 dudes, and there is holding on every play. So like, I try to give these guys some grace, but those are the ones that they're backbreaking for a team. And you're right. Like, could the Bills have overcome going into 2nd and 17? Yeah, sure. They could have, and they didn't. But you put them, that's like taking a 17 yards or 7-yard sack on first down. Like, that's not okay for the refs to influence the game in that way when you haven't done anything wrong. And so this is where the NFL needs to have a better system in place, especially in these big games and these big moments, because your defense just got to turn over. You got to be able to have a chance to capitalize, and the ref stepping in. The game's hard enough, right? I talk about it in golf all the time. I don't need to hit off divots. The game's hard enough. I'm going to pull it out into the fairway. We don't need to make the game harder on teams in these spots, and the refs definitely did here.
Yeah, 100%. So, Pratik, we'll get to that in just a minute here when we get to the last drive here on the clock management, because it was literally perfect. It was absolutely perfectly done. Instead, we got a ball don't lie response on this second one after it got stolen from us. It felt uneasy because the first 4 plays
Big
went 10
explosives,
yards, 9 yards, 11 yards, 16 yards. Then AJ gets Lamar for a 4-yard loss. Okay, we finally got him behind the 6. I'm feeling a little bit better. Then they get 5 yards back to Likely, and then 16 yards to a human named Anthony Miller that, like, I prepared for this game and studied the Ravens roster. Were you familiar with Anthony Miller's game?
Yeah. You don't know Anthony Miller?
I big time Anthony Miller fan. I'm a big time.
Honestly,
Anthony
though,
Miller fan.
he was like he was a big draft crush. Like, everybody loved.
Was he in the Bears for a minute?
Ant Miller.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he
was. I didn't know he was. Okay, I knew he was a human who existed previously.
Memphis
I didn't
Tigers,
know
baby.
he was on the Ravens. I had no idea he was on the Ravens.
I did. He made a play last week, like a third down play or something last week. He's not. It's been like Wallace, where like they only have like 4 or 5 dudes, right? With Zay Flowers out, and then
I just was like, wait, who caught the ball for 16 yards?
I was a big Ant Miller stan. I even made a like graphic of like, this guy's dope.
I remember that now that you say that.
Yeah, I like Ant Miller, but it's one play for him, and it happened against the Bills here. And then
we get the incompletion, and then we get the crazy play where, again, DeMar comes in, sacks Lamar. He's kind of trying to catch his balance and instead boots the ball backwards. Von Miller picks it up, and Von Miller rumbling for 39 yards with his 35, 36-year-old body, however old he is now.
Couple surgeries on those knees, still chugging along. Dude, his eyes had to be lit up thinking about a touchdown. You know, these guys
he's
don't
35.
Get those chances.
He'll be 36 in March. He's 35.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, he did get caught by Justice Hill, and as the gentleman earlier in the super chat said, I was anxious that he was going to punch it, because anytime you have a guy who isn't used to carrying the ball in a game, I always get nervous of a punch out because they're not used to carrying the ball in the game. Just don't have that many reps. So good for Von to get the 39 yards and go down. But fortunately for him, we picked him right up. Ty Johnson for 3 yards. Josh Allen hits Shakir for 13, James Cook for 7, and right down to the 1 yard line. And then the tush push, the Buffalo snowplow, Josh Allen into the end zone for 7, going up 14-7. And I finally started to feel a little bit good for the moment.
Yeah, no, this is exactly played out exactly how you wanted to. You're frustrated that you had a punt before, but again, the defense steps up, forces another turnover, gets you the ball back, and this time the offense does capitalize on it and gets you a point, gets you a score here. Going up 14-7, just you start to feel a little good, but you don't feel great. You know that the Ravens can easily strike back from 14-7, so you need a little bit more here. And really just continued to play really well. And I thought this next drive up for the defense, Ravens get some points here, but it felt like another win for them when you hold the team to 3 here.
Yeah, anytime you have a team that's driving like this, Baltimore 9 plays, 57 yards. Lamar scrambles for 11, Henry for 7, Henry for 2. It's just kind of moving forward. Then they come in and shout out to Baltimore for kind of acknowledging that, hey, that's a really good play, but our quarterback's kind of skinny. I don't want to. He's not going to be the best at it, and I don't want to expose him to those hits.
Correct.
Like, credit to Baltimore for figuring out that, hey, our tight end is good enough at doing this.
He's Josh Allen's size. He can.
Yeah, honestly, Mark Andrews and Josh Allen are about the same. They're both like 6'5", 245. And they run it well with him. Like, it goes pretty well. Then Lamar hits Rashad Bateman for 42 yards deep one. This is the one where, like, it certainly seemed like DeMar was supposed to be back there. Didn't realize.
I think he was keeping an eye on Lamar, and Lamar got out of the pocket a few times,
which is very threatening.
Yes, but he needs to be further back. I tweeted it. This was his mistake of the game. And tough time to have the mistake. Rasul also got beat in man coverage there, so both of them make a mistake at the same time. That's not great. But this is the Bills' defense this year. We're so used to them not giving up those explosive pass plays. They haven't been as good against the pass this year. They've been pretty good against the run. But man, it has been kind of it's a havoc, right? You're getting big turnovers or you're giving up big plays. You can't have, you're not limiting it all, but you're still getting the turnovers. So I'll take the turnovers every day versus a couple 30-yarders that get behind you.
Yeah, and I will say in our chat, I was a little critical of Dorian Williams, but he made a couple nice plays here down at the goal line. He was in on the big stuff for Derrick Henry -1 on the first play. Then we kind of had everything bottled up and got Lamar for that group, had him on that 5-yard sack on the second goal. So now all of a sudden you get it back to 3rd and goal at the 8. Get the incompletion where Terran's there and Matt Milano's pressuring Lamar and gets him hurried up in this one. So now we all of a sudden hold where, DeMar and Rasul got beat. We're down to the 2. It feels like it's kind of giving up a touchdown, but it shows the importance of those kind of plays where now getting a hold there, we only give up 3. And the reason is my West Her drive of the game. Oh, good. Yeah. This is great.
It's everybody's West Her.
You're a wise gentleman. This is a fantastic drive. 9 plays, 70 yards. They use 3 minutes and 27 seconds, all but 16 seconds of the remaining of the half. Go down the field. Here, I'll let you talk about a little bit of it first.
Yeah, I mean, it just the way they did it here. You got to swing to Cook here, right out of the gate. You get Ray Davis. We talked about it earlier, man. I really would have liked to see Ray get a little bit more going in this game. You get a toss, goes for 16, just running fast, running hard. I think a couple missed tackles on this one as well.
And then right back to him. I like that they kept right with and give him another touch.
Go right back to him. Get down to the 2-minute warning. Here's a little bit though, where like it's such a fine balance, Greg, to be between you. If you're at the 2-minute warning, you have 2 minutes left. You want to use as much of this clock up as you can, but you want to score points. And so this is where I get torn of. They did kind of keep running the ball a little bit here. You get the first, 2nd and 1 to Cook. He picks up the first down. You get a toss to Shakir for 4 yards. And I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. Baltimore's taking timeouts. And then here you can take this drive on from here.
Yeah. And being able to, again, this is where the mix, there was some risk involved here because they very clearly saw what Baltimore wanted because Baltimore used the timeout. So we got the quick pass to Shakir, forced that second timeout because they wasted one earlier. And then this one is where I think some people were frustrated. So it's 2nd and 6 at the Baltimore 31. Yeah. And again, I wouldn't have minded one of the little tunnel screens, one of the little swings or something like that to kind of give the option of some additional passes, but they ran the ball to Cook, get it to 3rd and 5, force them to take another timeout. Now it's 3rd and 5 with 13 seconds left, or minute 13. And of course, this is where if they don't convert, there's risk in how it goes, but it happens in every game. Like every game has, the hindsight 2020. So instead they're going, and if Trey and Keon don't get tied up, I think Keon is able to catch it down the sideline there. Instead, they get tied up. They throw the flag. They're able to convert. Now they're able to milk the remaining clock. Cook runs it for 4. Allen has the quarterback draw keeper that gets him down to the 2. We wait until it gets down close, take the timeout. Then Josh runs it in on the final one here. Took all but 16 seconds down. Baltimore has to take a knee to timeout, and we just ran picture perfect clock management down to the end. Milked out every last second. Didn't let them get the ball back. Had a chance for it to be a double dip.
Activated it.
Started, opened the double dip, didn't bring the rest home, but opened it up for a fantastic end of the half, and deservedly our West Her drive of the game. Our partners over at West Her have been fantastic supporters of us all season long. You guys should support them for any of your automotive needs. The biggest automotive dealership in New York State, one of the biggest employers in Western New York. Brad and the whole team over there are awesome people to work with. So shout out to our guys at West Her and a well-deserved West Her drive of the game.
Yes, and make sure you're following them. They are giving out cool stuff every week. Yeah. I'm guessing they're not going to give it to me because we're a sponsored show, but I am trying to win the stuff. So, Brad, if you're listening, I am trying to win those Josh Allen signed footballs and cool stickers and stuff like that. So, hook a brother up. Come on, let's go, West Her. But no, make sure you're following them. They have great content. They do great podcasts as well and are constantly giving away really cool stuff. So, make sure you're in on that.
Yeah. It's they have a great partnership with the Bills, so they do all kinds of cool stuff. My family sends me links to the cool West Her commercials they do because I don't get the local TV, so I get to see the fun Dion and Knox and Josh and Tasker, all the fun commercials they do. I could see it. So, Sean here, here for the positive vibes. Thank you, boys, for hosting all the parties after this year. Appreciate you,
We got
man.
some
This
more
is really,
coming.
really generous. Yeah, it's more fun coming here. Before we do the second half, let's catch up on a couple more of our super chats
Same
here.
time next week. Get over here. Same
That's
time next
right.
week. We'll be partying.
Exact same time. Exact
That's
same
it.
time next week. Matthew here saying great game by the defense. What do you think they did that affected the Ravens the most? I think it was the changeup of playing the most man defense and the most blitzes that we saw. I think they might expected a little bit of variance, but I think that was more than what they would have anticipated.
Yeah, I'll take my L on that because I don't ever anticipate the Bills to make major changes. I think they always are going to make some, but they're like insignificant 10, 15% change. I think it was some of that, but I also do think it was some winning some of your one-on-ones. You saw Daquan Jones, Phillips, Ed Oliver just blowing up a one-on-one and beating their guy. And something else the Bills did pretty good tonight was tackling. I as much as I stand for guys like DeMar and Rapp and even Cole Bishop and some of these corners, the littler guys, tackling isn't always something that they've been good at. And even on some of the runs where it leaked out a little bit to those 6 to 8 yard runs, coming up and tackling and not allowing it to be a 80-yard run that's a backbreaker, which we saw them get in that first game, is big. So I think fundamentals were, in addition to what Greg said, was a big part of this one.
Yeah, it's being able to kind of balance things out. I love the change up, and I expect another change up from that next week. I expect it to go differently. And as Mazvid's here saying, D carried them today. Let's bleep go. Appreciate it. Mark here, yeah. I don't. It does confuse me that Lamar Jackson legitimately plays football with a grill in. Like, I get it. There's some guys like to do the grill and do the
I don't get
design of it
grills.
here.
I don't get them.
I don't personally understand, but there's a lot of fashion things
There's a
and
lot of
jewelry
I
things
don't
that I
get
don't
half the
understand.
fashion.
Correct. Playing football with it in blows my mind. Like that part, like the fact that he plays games with it in his mouth blows my mind.
Do you remember when people were in an uproar because Tyrod Taylor supposedly had like a diamond mouth guard, but he didn't. He actually didn't play with it, but like there was like rumors that he had a diamond mouth guard. And people were like, "How dare he wear a diamond?" Like, yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah, it's a new world. It's a new world.
Yes.
Anthony here, good. Even thanks for the coverage again through this week. We appreciate you, brother. It's been it was a stressful week. It was a very, very stressful week. It definitely wasn't ready for it all. Sonny saying hello from Alaska. So it's like still pretty early out there. It's probably like just later evening for Sonny out there in Alaska. Last one here we'll get through for this group. Just J-Bucks, appreciate you. Very, very generous of you. And Ethan, DeMar Hamlin is Ethan's mom's favorite player. So
he's a lot of mom's favorite player.
Yeah, it's easy to root for. His story is very, very easy.
Just jerks that are on the internet don't like him.
Mostly jerks on the internet. Tim here is buying us fresh bagels for the morning.
You know what this is? I'm pretty sure Tim is. I get a lot of grief for using Aldi bagged bagels for the breakfast sandwiches. Like every week somebody's like, you got to get better bagels. And I don't agree. Aldi actually has pretty great bagels. I'm not a bit picky bagel guy. I fry them in bacon grease. They don't need to be that good.
Literally anything. Like if you just cut off the bottom of a couple of my old shoes and like fry them in bagel grease and then put a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich between those two shoe bottoms cooked in bacon grease, I'd probably give it a shot. I'd be okay.
I've thought about here's my other thing before we go. Like I've thought about changing it up and making some like more gourmet ones and like going to a really good place and getting really good bagels and the best bacon that I can buy. I'm nervous to switch any of this up. Like it's my winning record with the bagels is good, and I'm not making any changes. I'm sticking with what I got.
100%. If you change anything, I'll be furious.
Yeah, people would kill me if I actually made the changes.
Absolutely furious.
Yeah.
We have an interesting dynamic going on in the chat here. Zach needs us to get the kids to settle down and go to bed because his kids are really fired up, which my apologies. Drew, on the other hand, is firing people up, saying he's literally shouting. He's got the spirit. He's also hammered.
Good thing they don't live next to each other.
Correct. They might have. We don't know that they don't. we don't know how this works. And last one here, really appreciate your support. It's been fantastic. It's been a fun night. All right, on to the second half. Unfortunately,
not as fun.
The second half was stressful, super stressful.
Super stressful.
Super stressful. we had the chance to be able to really hammer it home
Up
with
21-10, you
up
got the double dip
21-10.
activated.
I just wanted to, if we got a touchdown there and you go up 18, you're up 3 scores, you really might have been the dagger right
Yeah.
off the bat.
Bills haven't been
And
great at double dipping this year.
yeah,
Like it hasn't been the thing that it used to
it
be.
hasn't been a strength. It hasn't been a strength. Hey, they're saving it. They're saving it. They're going to double dip
You're
in
gonna
the
need
2
it.
games where it
Yeah.
matters. So they open up the, jumbo set 1 yard run on first down. I would like to see a little bit more first down play action, but whatever, I'll live.
Mhm.
The one that stinks is like Dalton Kincaid just slipped on a slippery field and
Yeah.
couldn't get back to the ball. Like, it's bad footing. It happened to Shakir like a couple of times where he would have juke guys in the open field where he gets tackled, where he normally never gets tackled.
Mhm.
It just is what it is. Like, I'm not going to get
People were
too
mad about the
bent out of
drop.
shape.
I'm not.
He
If he
slipped.
dude, if he catches that, it's a crazy nice catch. Like,
Yeah.
sure, his hands got on it, and I don't agree with that. Like, oh, if your hands touch it, you got to catch it. There's a chance he could have made a play on that ball, but that's a tough when you're slipping, falling to the ground. I don't blame him. It's just a bad circumstance. But man, there was a couple of these where it was in 3rd and long, and I don't know if it was just Josh not seeing what they were going to do pre-snap, but it didn't seem like the Bills did a great job in this game of kind of shifting protections, calling protections, leaving in a guy for protection, but they came clean on a blitz and got pressure on him, and it was a quick throwaway here on a 3rd and 9, and that just feels you're so amped up to get this double dip and put this game at a real arm's length. 21-10 just didn't feel like enough against the Ravens if they got going, which they did here.
Yeah. So again, another one where the bend but don't break was stressful as it was happening. So they start out with decent field position, get a couple of shorter plays, moving the ball down the field, go on a run with a 9 to Andrews. Justice Hill is a scary dude, like for a little guy. 11-yard run, then Henry for a 12-yard run. We then get a stop, and it feels like we're in really good shape. I'm feeling really good. Get him off schedule. Then we get pressure and get an incompletion to Andrews, where this was a drop by Andrews. Like, he should have caught this, would have been a first down conversion. Then we get them for a delay of game, get them back to 3rd and 17. And on that 3rd and 12, we were bringing pressure, which was going to be another incompletion or even a sack.
Yeah.
That's the one where they couldn't really hear the whistle because it was so loud there. Shout out to Bills Mafia. Great job. Get them back to 3rd and 17.
Yep.
Bring the pressure again. This time they get a quick check down. Milano peels back out of the spy on this one and crushes Bateman. So there was a couple here. Milano worked well as a spy.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that all the time. I joked with Eric. They're like, oh, is 3-2-6 the new base defense? I do like it as a wrinkle. I think we'll see it again next week in obvious passing downs.
You're going to need it on
with Mahomes. So because he likes to do that as well, and I'm totally fine where we mug up in there. They don't know if we're coming on a blitz or not, and then normally Milano's going to drop back and then spy the quarterback. This time he peeled back and crushed Bateman. But here another from Cliff. Milano hit hard tonight. When it was there. It was nice, and I felt like he really brought himself back in here. And as Buff Bills is saying here, Williams saying number 58 was back. I think he's fully back to whatever the best version of Milano is going to be at this age. We have that back. He is at the full abilities of what we're going to get from him now. I don't know if we're going to get that all-pro guy back, but whatever his best ball is that we're going to get back, we have it right now.
I think that early play that we talked about where Lamar leaked out, where he was a spy and Lamar got out for the first down, I think he thought he was like 3 years ago, Matt Milano, in his brain. It was like, I'm going to go get him. And I think that might have been a lesson of like, okay, I'm a different high end.
Maybe I need to take an angle.
Yeah, it's a different.
Yeah, it's just a different world anyways. Father Time was undefeated.
Yep.
And here I was kind of hoping, just for the stress it would give to Ravens fans and Justin Tucker himself, I was kind of hoping he would miss. But Justin Tucker striped this 47-yarder absolute dead. Like, if the uprights were like 3 feet apart in the middle of the field, it still would have been good. It was absolutely dead center.
You could hear that
just
one.
a old school perfect Justin Tucker kick.
Yep.
And shout out for him getting his stuff back together. He really had a rough stretch there. And like Ravens fans said, he was in fact over it, and he was clean tonight.
Yeah.
2 for 2 in his kicks, 1 for 1 on his extra point. Shout out to him getting his stuff together.
Yep.
Um,
But another win here for the defense, right? Like it stinks. You
yes,
gave up
yes,
points, but your offense just came out, had a 3-and-out to start the half. That's deflating. That kind of gives the Ravens momentum. Like, all right, we have a chance to get back in this,
yes,
and you hold the
100%.
3. Really felt like a win. And again, this was sort of this running theme a little bit of tonight, where then you come out and I wanted. It's not a turnover, so the offense doesn't owe the defense anything. But when you hold the 3, your defense giving you another chance to put this game a little bit further away, and you don't.
Yeah, it just again, when you let a good team hang around, they're gonna come back and make it a game.
Yeah,
This may be the most frustrating one on the offense because it
it
wasn't
was.
blamed on the referees. Um, we ended up going 6 plays, 18. Like the earlier punt, Kincaid slipped. I'm not going to get
Sure.
like that wasn't dumb play calls or bad plays. Like it was just bad weather and we slipped. Like they had more weather issues than we did, but it happens to everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to, lose my mind on those things. This one, we come out in jumbo, get 3 yards on the first play. We do the little screen to Shakir on the second one. Then get a nice play. Samuel creates and does that whip route and gets 8 yards on the 3rd and 5 on a really nice one, showing he got good footing in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Then we come back and do Cook it
Second
stuffed
one.
on the first one, so we're at 2nd and 10. We get a play to Shakir, and then
This play pissed me off, man. I'm not even gonna
like
lie. 3rd and 5 screen to Knox. What are
um
we doing?
like I'm
What are you doing?
I'm okay having that play in the playbook because as a like cover 0 answer on 1st or 2nd down, as just hey, it's better than a negative
Sure.
play and maybe he breaks a tackle. But on 3rd and 5, like we can't have a play where Dawson Knox catches the ball behind the line of scrimmage, which he did. He caught the ball behind the line of scrimmage and then has to create for now 7 or 8 yards
Yeah, I
to
don't like it.
convert it for like that can't be it. Like that cannot be one of the
Not in this
options. So
spot. You can run that play if you're up or whatever. Like, there's another
yeah,
spot for it, maybe, but
sure.
in a spot where your defense just got held to a field goal, and like if you do give the ball back, now you're really playing with fire because it is only a 1-score game potentially. It just seemed like a lack of awareness in this spot. You got to go behind the sticks, have some hitch routes, have something where you're getting behind the sticks and trying to really pick up this first down. Or you're better even like moving Josh with his legs. There's 13, 14 play calls are better than this 3rd and 5 call to get here. It was very frustrating watching this live.
Yeah. So again, I thought Joe Brady was great tonight. Genuinely great. Really in his bag. There's another play call coming up here that I thought were tough. Again, we hold coaches to the standard of perfection.
Perfect. Sure.
He was way better, way more good than bad tonight. This one, and then we'll talk about the play calls down at the goal line
Yep.
at the end of the game as ones that certainly people are going to question in
Yeah.
these spots. But that one, I'm perfectly okay questioning. Like, that one can't be the option. And unfortunately, Baltimore answers back with by far the most frustrating drive of the entire game. This one was just straight down our throat.
Yeah.
6 yards to Henry, 3 yards to Henry, 17 yards to Henry.
That 17 was
12.
almost an 80 something yard
Yes,
run. But
correct.
it was like,
Would have been
ooh,
71.
he
71.
was balling on that one,
Had
dude.
the biggest head of steam he had all night.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So that one was a tough one, but
Poor
clipped his
DeMar had to
ankle.
take a knee off the head. Thank God he got that guardian
Yeah.
cap on tonight because that couldn't have felt good.
Yeah, that was not ideal. Then we get Mark Andrews on Rasul, who apparently held him before that as well.
Yeah.
Then Justice Hill running tough inside. Like you almost lose him. Like he's not quite old school Darren Sproles, but like compared to Henry, he looks like Darren Sproles.
Shifty, yeah.
When he gets the ball, just shifty and hides behind guys. Then Henry for 15, and then right back to Henry for 5. And it was like, oh God, straight down the field. But I will say, for as infuriating and almost pseudo embarrassing is what that drive feels, they came up clutch on the 2-point conversion
Yep, Milano
because
got a tip there.
Milano tips the ball. So like now all of a sudden it's a 6-point drive and we keep the 2-point lead. And obviously that matters as the game goes here. We
Yeah.
won by 2.
Yep.
So those 2-point conversion plays ended up being incredibly crucial to what's going on in this game.
Yep.
So now the Bills get the ball back. We're up by 2. And like, hey, if we
I'm
score,
panicking.
we're back up by 9. And now like 2
Yeah.
points is a weird lead because if you score, you're up 2 possessions. And it's just really, really impactful in what was there. And it, talked about here, I was stressed all week, but the Bills won and made it all worth it. 2 more wins to go. Appreciate you very, very much. So we get the ball back. We go 10 plays and 37 yards. So first play, right off the bat, we get a jumbo set again. So Anderson's in. We have the jumbo set in. We run it again, but this time 11 yards. So feeling pretty good. We try to go right back at it. Ty Johnson gets stuffed for 1. Josh picks up 9. To Shakir gets it 3rd and 2. Todd Johnson picks up the first down this time, gets it for 4 yards. Then we start to really run
Finally
the ball.
Get some play action at first and 10
oh
play
my
action.
God.
Yeah.
And it's first and 10 play action, and I think this is the one with the swing pass with Reggie Gilliam out in front of him.
Could have been.
I love that play. I really like that play when they run it. Then we go right back to Cook for 7 more yards.
Dude,
Cook for 2.
That's where again Field came in. Cook had his guy on skates. I forget what defender it was on this first down, but that defender had him dead to rights, and he just like hesitated, made a quick little move, and just put the dude on skates.
When you know where you're going, it makes a huge difference. Yeah. We get the one pass to Amari Cooper here where it seemed like Cooper certainly felt like he got held up, and it looked like there was some contact there, but we didn't get a call. Then we have the incompletion to Shakir, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we had like so much momentum going and a really nice drive going, and just like a quick, 2-yard gain on first down. And then, it just was, very deflating. And I was nervous about the kick because it was a 51-yarder in some rough, air, and hits this 51-yarder. And I was saving this. Sespinar sent this a while ago. Bass, player of the game contender. I need to fill out an apology for him. I'm not all the way there yet. I'm still going to be nervous if he lines up again because I was nervous on this kick, but he crushed this 51-yard kick. Like, again, like not dead center, but in the middle-ish, and 51 yards, and it was like 3/4 of the way up the upright and hit the net firmly. Like that was good from like 65.
It's cold
like
tonight, man.
Crushed that ball. To do that in that weather is awesome.
Yeah, no, both these kickers, I think both fan bases can say whatever they wanted going into this, but you didn't feel good when they're lining up. I still won't, like to your point, I won't feel good. But Bass, just as good as Justin Tucker to end the year, actually had more field goals made than Justin Tucker to end the year. And so he has been on a nice little run here. Still the extra points are in question towards the end of the year here, but perfect for the day. But what a big kick in this spot. I did not feel great running it out. I was pretty frustrated that the drive did stall here again. Yeah. But to your point, getting the points here and making it a 2-possession football game again is a huge deal. And so having a kicker that you can rely on in a moment like this, I agree with that comment that I don't think he is the player of the game in this one, but definitely in contention because those kicks ended up mattering big.
Yeah. It just, again, coming up huge when it mattered.
Yeah.
This drive coming up for the Ravens here was absolutely like the biggest threat to my cardiovascular health of this game. Ravens get the ball. We're up by 5. So a touchdown. They take the lead, and
everything's terrible.
It's in the fourth quarter, and they are moving. And Lamar, he hits Sims for 4. Derrick Henry goes for 5. We actually get a stuff on 3rd and 1, and I'm like, all right, we got a shot. And then again, the tush push is just unstoppable. So 4th and 1, Andrews gets it and converts. We stop Justice Hill, and I'm like, all right, as Ed kind of blows this play up, and I'm feeling pretty good. And Lamar rolls out, has space, hits Mark Andrews wide open, and Terrell Bernard punches the ball out, or is there for the. I don't even know if he punched it out.
He punched it out.
Okay, I didn't see a clean replay of whether Andrews just kind of lost it and the hit knocked it loose, or Bernard punched it, but knocked it out and fell on the ball and recovered it. And they were about to go on another drive that looked scary, and instead the Bills get the ball back and just, oh man, I was not well. I was not well.
My boy Cody Alexander, who we had on for the Broncos, he loves these. Like if you follow Cody Alexander, it's always every week he's posting the rip the cord and punch the ball, like these types of turnovers. Peanut Tillman changed the game. There needs to be a 30 for
Literally,
30 on the
literally.
peanut punch. And its impact on the game of football, because this is such an impactful play that we see every single week defenders making. This was a nearly explosive play. I don't know what the catch would have been for. It was like right around 20 yards, wasn't it? He was wide open downfield on this play, and I think it was just past midfield where this occurred. And for Bernard to come in and make a play like this and then get the ball, I was told, Greg, that the turnovers were unsustainable, that we were not going to be able to continue to play this high variance defense. But here we are in the high variance defense getting you to the AFC Championship game. But I was told, so I don't know if I was right or somebody else was right, but getting a turnover like this, huge in this spot for your team here. But again, didn't totally capitalize. You capitalized a little bit, obviously just enough here. But again, feels like there was a little bit more meat on the bone for this offense in the end of this game.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, they survive, they come through. This is the one that I think is going to get a lot of questions. So, 8 minutes and 41 seconds left. We're up 5. We have the ball. A touchdown obviously ends it. So going down in a fight, we check a lot of boxes here. We get the ball at the 46, so ideally 54 yards, and we want to run 8 minutes and 41 seconds off the clock. We get 52 yards and 5 minutes and 12 seconds. So a lot of good here. There's a lot of good that's going to happen here. We hit Mac Hollins right off the bat for a 12-yarder, and later on it's coming up, but Jordan here saying anyone catch Mac pancake Marlon Humphrey.
Yes.
Like Mac Hollins is so infuriating for other teams and other fan bases. Like I hate I just drew a blank.
He's like Joakim Noah.
Yeah, Joakim Noah is a perfect example where like when you're a Bulls fan, you love Joakim Noah. When you're a Warriors fan, you love Draymond Green.
Yes.
But not only do you know that other fans hate him, you fully understand why other fans hate him. That's where I'm at with Mac Hollins. Is I love Mac Hollins. I not only get it that other fans hate Mac Hollins, I fully understand that other fans hate Mac Hollins, and
I enjoy.
I don't care because I'm so busy loving him so much. He's such a priority for me to re-sign him next year. Like I need him back in our lives. Like I need Mac Hollins to retire a Buffalo Bill. He can be my 4th receiver and gunner forever. Like
dude showed up to this game in beach wear with sunscreen on his nose.
Like 8-inch inseam shorts,
yes,
with a unbuttoned Hawaiian shirt, a towel over his shoulder. He had the zinc oxide on his nose and the straw sun hat.
Yes,
fully decked out in beach gear while it was 18 degrees or whatever it was.
I do think my wife may have loved the inseam shorts and no shirt a little too much. She watched that video a little too close.
He is a fit man. Like he is a fit individual. Yeah, he is a fit individual. So we get that 12-yarder on first down. We go back to our man Ray Davis here. And get David Ojabo called for illegal hands to the face. So now we get an extra 5 yards and it's an automatic first down. This is where now I do want to credit Joe Brady because he set up that I don't even know what to call the formation because I don't ever see a formation where a wide receiver lines up behind the offensive tackle. I don't even know what to call it, but we do it all the time. The one where Mac Hollins goes in the little mini shift and then comes back and lines up behind Spencer Brown. And we do it over and over and over again, and we run out of it, and we were spamming it tonight. This is where he, rips the cord, says, no, I'm going to hit Keon on the slant. Keon almost takes it 34 yards for a touchdown. But good on Trey, clips his ankle, gets him for only a 5-yard gain. Then Josh does play action on second down, swings it to Ty Johnson, gets 8 yards here, picks up the first down. We're moving a little bit better here. Now we get the pass to Curtis Samuel. This is the one where Mac pancakes Marlon Humphrey, and
Yeah.
he unfortunately gets hurt. I knew it wasn't a dirty play. It was a perfectly normal football block. He just landed on him funny. Now we get the official timeout for that injury. James Cook runs for 8 yards on 2nd and 9. We come right up. We do the no huddle. We do the tush push. Josh picks it up here, and I point that out because we ran it there. But now we're at 1st and goal of the 10. James Cook goes for 3. Baltimore takes a timeout. Now Josh runs for 5. And this is the one that is going to sting a little bit because Josh was going to trot into the end zone on this play.
Just tripped up.
And Matabike just swiped his heel just enough, and he trips up and falls and slides into the end zone. I don't think it was worth challenging because, like, you can't mess with timeouts this late, and it's hard in those spots, but it certainly felt like it was a harsh spot. Like, I thought Josh landed pretty cleanly at the 1 and then slid into the end zone. They marked him like
but you're down by contact from the trip, right?
Yeah, but yeah, correct. Wherever he first lands is where it is. So he didn't score, but I didn't. They put it behind the 2-yard line.
Correct.
Like the tip of the ball was behind the 2-yard line. Josh for sure made first contact after that. So whether it was the 1.5 or the 1, whatever, I don't know what it was, but it, if that would have been the difference in the decision, it was a little frustrating. So instead, we're at 3rd and 2 and a full 2 yards, like 2 yards and change. Gordon here chiming in saying, I thought the eye in the sky should have adjusted it. There was probably an opportunity to do so. So it was just in
the Bills
moment,
took a timeout. They gave him enough time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or no, not right here. They ran another.
So on the first one, Baltimore called the timeout. We're coming out of Baltimore's timeout. It's a long 2. So it's back there. I thought that. So I'm going to play this out of both sides of my mouth. I thought Nance and Romo were way overplaying how automatic it is that, you just tush push twice. Because we've seen it. It's an 80% play. It's not 100% play.
No.
Sometimes you barely get enough. So maybe we get at the 1.5 yard line on the first one, and then you're at like the 1.5, and you're like, do we do it on 4th down? But I get it. Like I don't think it was a terrible idea. They probably could have run it twice, and they probably would have scored. But it was now in a weird spot. So now instead, on 3rd and goal at the 2, you get stuffed where you almost kind of lose a 0.5 yard, and now it's like 4th and 2.5. We run it down to just take any extra clock off. And here, like I hate it that my answer is you have to kick here. Like I love the gutsy idea of you have to go for it, but the difference of being up 5 and being up 8 is such a huge difference. This is not the same as the Kansas City situation. Kansas City, you were up 2, and the difference was kicking a field goal put you up 5 versus scoring a touchdown was more than enough. Like going up 8 points and making it that you can't be beat on the one possession, the most you could be is tied, is really valuable. So even like the 4th down bots and they all supported kicking it too. I totally get the question on should we have just done 2 tush pushes? Should we have not run Josh out of shotgun and done something different? Shout out, Tim has been super supportive of us the whole time. He's a Lions fan. I feel so much for our Lions brethren. They deserve to meet us in the Super Bowl here, but appreciate you still rooting for us and going to win one for the Great Lakes here. Shout out to Tim and all the other Lions fans. It was just a really painful ending for a great season last night for you guys. Yeah. So, Aaron, what was your thought? Obviously, hindsight's 2020. Everybody in hindsight says, we should have tush pushed twice. I would have been fine if we tush pushed twice. I don't think it was as automatic as I think there was a chance that the first down play got stuffed and we might not even run it again the second time when we kick anyways. But I also do think that, we probably would have got it pretty close or scored on the first one and then probably wouldn't have run, because we get to the 0.5 yard line, we definitely run it again and score, right? And likely score 80% score. So I get the frustration. I push back a little that I don't think it was as automatic as what Romo and Nance were making it sound, which made fans feel like, this is so dumb. I can't believe we didn't do it.
I think success-wise, you have a better chance of the tush push than running it from shotgun.
Correct.
Every time
I
they
would like
do,
something different than that.
yeah, when they do the tush push, you're talking about it being maybe, I don't know what the exact success percentage. It's high, it's up there. But when they do get it, Greg, we talk about it all the time. It's usually like 3-4 yards. Like when Josh actually does do it the right way and gets it. We have seen him not get it. To your point, there's another, again, this is similar to that 3rd and 5 play. There's probably 6 or 7 other plays that I'd like to see besides Josh out of shotgun and running it. And if he is going to be out of shotgun, I want it to have some options built into it and more of a like, hey, take it on an outside run a little bit with maybe Kincaid coming across or Shakir coming across where there is an option to pass if the run's not there. Give him some options baked in to, instead of just running into a wall, which is what
How about
happened here.
maybe they're saving this for the Chiefs or the Super Bowl, but like when they hide Shakir, he was hiding on that play again. Like Shakir does that thing where he gets down in like the teeny tiny stance. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like where Shakir's in like a weird 3-point stance with his knees together, like legitimately hiding behind the offensive line. He was doing it on this play. And in my head, I was like, oh, they're setting up some cool thing where we don't notice. And Josh is going to pretend to run and Shakir's going to like flare out to the right. And no one's going to know he was there because he was hiding behind the offensive line. I'm like, oh, this is going to be so fun. And then they just ran with Josh and Shakir was just like kind of a lead blocker. Like, I don't. I hope that's setting up something cool, but they did it 3 times tonight that I noticed, and I don't at no point did they do anything cool with Shakir in that little whatever, like it's technically like a
it's like a pistol.
Like a pistol, like he's in the
Pony,
pistol running back spot, but he doesn't even like he lines up super weird. Like
he
his
went out for a
3-point
pass.
stance is teeny tiny. It's weird.
Yeah, I think he went out for like a swing pass on that play. So there's some action off of it. Thank God Josh didn't turn into Josh on that play. He was looking at James Cook like he was going to throw it back to him. And if it worked, we would have been like, oh my God, he's amazing. But that's the one where it's like,
it fumbled,
that goes wrong. And this game's a totally different game. So I'm glad he was not able to do that play and that you just settle for the 3 here. Because your point, Greg, it feels frustrating. It feels deflating. You make this big drive. You take a bunch of time off the clock. So there's some good stuff in here. If you score the touchdown, this game's over. It's at like a 99.8% probability to win. You're in the 90s. You're in like 91% to win at this point. But there is no question, to your point, to go out and take the field goal. I was more nervous about this one than I was about the 51-yarder for Bass because it was so close. And that's a little bit where he struggled this year. But getting this, it would have been so Billsy, the most Billsy thing ever, if they went for it on 4th here and don't get it and then allow the Ravens to go down and get a touchdown drive, which is what they end up doing, not from that same spot, but they end up scoring. That would have been worse than 13 seconds to go for it in this spot when you could have, like, because then now the worst case scenario is they can tie it. And that sucks. I don't want to go into overtime, but they can't beat you with the ball in 2 minutes or 3 minutes and 29 seconds left. And so getting the field goal is smart football. The plays before it, I think, can be in question. I think it's totally fine to question how that went before it. But ultimately you did enough to get the job done. So hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, again, I think there's a lot of things we could have done differently. I think Joe Brady was great tonight. I thought here we could have done better on that 2nd and goal or on that 3rd and goal from the 2. Again, I don't know that the tush push was the something better, but it could have been, but better than what we had. Something like you said, some action where Josh was rolling out, has the option to run or pass, can throw it, can do something.
I agree.
I thought we could have done a little bit better here.
With Gordon here, you don't know, but it puts it in a position where if you do fail on a 4th down, you allow them to win the game with the final possession.
There's no chance. Yeah, right. Yeah. I agree that we don't know if they would have. I mean, we kind of do because we watch them go down and score. So
not from the same spot, like it changes a little bit, but still, like you open that up.
They went 88 yards on the next drive. So like assuming that like, oh, they couldn't have possibly gone 98 or 99, like
with time on the clock left. There was a minute 44 still on the clock after they scored. So
so yeah, at no point do I go for it and open up the chance that we don't take the protection. Again, this is not the same as the Chiefs going for it on 4th and 2. That was up 2 points and the field goal only goes up 5. That is a death knell for the the Chiefs. And like, if again, I joke all the time, like true analytics is do what the other team's fan base doesn't want you to do. They didn't want us to kick here. They wanted us to go for it to try to stuff us. Now they wanted to stuff us, but they wanted us to go for it to stuff us so they could go win. When we took away that chance, and now they could only tie, and that what happened, I'll describe it when we get to it here. But that even if they scored, like we were gonna have a minute 33 left, we would have gone back and kick the game-winning field goal. But we gave ourselves that option because of handling that. So that field goal, again, I hate kicking a field goal from the 2-yard line, but it was strategically the right thing to do once we were in that position. 3rd and 2 was the mistake. 3rd and 2 was where we should have given ourselves a better chance to score than just a shotgun draw where there were no other options off of it.
Yeah.
Instead, 3 minutes and 29 seconds left. Lamar puts together a pretty nice drive here. Tries a deep shot to Likely on the first play. Taron gets hurt. My heart goes from beating rapidly down here to beating rapidly in my throat. Then he scrambles for 8 yards, picks up a couple to Hill to get the first down, goes back to Bateman, then hits Tylan Wallace for 27 yards. We're giving up plays to Anthony Miller and Tylan Wallace, and it hurts my soul. And we get a fumble here where it all of a sudden it looks like we're gonna maybe get something, but he gets back on it. Then Taron comes back into the game. We're at the 2-minute warning now. They're at the Bills 47. Lamar hits Justice Hill for 4 yards. Then Mark Andrews for 19 goes out of bounds. It's a minute 52. They're at the Bills 43. They go out of the 24 with that 19-yarder. And then Josh hits Isaiah Likely for 24 yards, and it feels really deflating. It feels really infuriating. It's like, oh my God, what are you doing? But I look and I'm like, all right, there's a minute 33 left. We're going to be okay. We can go down. We just moved the ball pretty easily a couple times. They haven't, they've only stopped us once or twice.
Yeah.
We know what's going on here. We're going to be able to get this taken care of. And then I really had kind of already moved in my head past the idea that they were going to tie it, and that I was now mentally preparing for the our drive to win the game. And then for a second there I was like, oh wait, and I'm looking at the timeouts and I'm like, if we stop them on the 2-point conversion, the game's over.
Yeah.
And then we go, and it looks like they've got Mark Andrews at the pylon, and Andrews can't make the catch, and he certainly looked like he was in position to get it and pivot and just,
he was falling in. He would have
falling into the end zone if he.
Yep.
I feel for the dude. Again, I was already preparing for the fact that I thought we were gonna, go down and drive and score anyways. But I feel for Mark Andrews that now he's got to wear that with the drop earlier and the fumble, and now this one. That is a really rough last game of the season for a good dude.
Yeah, and he's had a heck of a season, like we said, to get back to the type of production that people expect out of him. It's a very Billsy way. There's no other real word probably to describe it, but a very Billsy way to end your season. And the Ravens are, as much as I say good things about the Ravens and their organization, they've kind of been Billsy during this Lamar run, right? They're having the same issues that the Bills are and that McDermott is in terms of getting over these humps and having weird moments that just keeps them out of games. And this is on par with some of those big mistakes that the Bills have that just leave a terrible taste in the fan base's mouth of you were so close, you had a chance. Again, who knows what happens after? You are very confident that the Bills will go down and win it either way. I'd like to think that they do, but man, you didn't give yourself a chance to find out if you're the Ravens.
Yeah, it's a really tough, really tough spot to be in. Then the Bills get the ball back here. They do go for an onside kick. Shout out to Rasul Douglas, really clean, perfect technique. Gets the ball. Technically,
again here, Tony Romo hyping this. They do have the best kicker of all time. Dude, shut up, Tony. Honestly.
I was unloading some of my receipts during Aaron's portions of the show tonight. It was really, really enjoyable. It made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. The onside kick thing, again, I get it. I give Romo a little bit of grace because his job is to engage the crowd and to keep the maximum amount of people watching. But As Josh says here, I'm so proud of this team. I'm normally the biggest doomer, but this year feels different. I agree. And games like this where Romo is like just talking about every worst case scenario, it makes me crazy. Like it makes me absolutely insane.
We're for sure getting Romo next week too.
Yeah, it's a CBS game. Of course, he's their number one guy.
Yep.
So, Josh here saying, "Go Bills!" Appreciate you, brother. The Zach said, dare you to play bright side every video for KC next week? I don't have
I
the
do
rights. We
think
can't
that
afford
actually, I was frustrated with the Bills playing bright side up by 8.
that. I think they did it to pump up the crowd more so than celebratory.
You don't do it.
But I do think that should be more of a,
That's a blowout
hey,
song.
yes, like, hey,
Partying.
or like clinching song. Like if they did it, if they played it after the 2-point conversion and when we got the ball there, like that's fine. Like it's a celebration song. It shouldn't be a
bad
thing.
timing.
Yeah.
Work on that, Bills.
Yeah. MVM here saying go Bills. Appreciate you very, very much. Say hate to see players hurt, but Humphreys is dirty. And House blew him up. I don't think I knew that about Marlon Humphrey. Maybe that I didn't realize he had that reputation for
I
being
didn't know
dirty.
that either. I like Marlon Humphrey actually a lot. I think he's a good player. And that's a dude that I thought fell off a cliff a little bit, but had a really good year this year.
Yeah, ended up
did not.
like he got benched for a minute and then came back as a slot defender, and like that's not an easy switch when you've been an outside corner the whole rest of the time. And here, it's saying as an Australian Bills fan, I just want to say I appreciate all your work and analysis without all the BS you sometimes get. Also, we appreciate that very, very much.
We do have
a little bit of
BS.
BS.
We have
a
some
little
BS.
bit of BS.
Yeah.
There's a little bit. There's a little bit. And Tim here is saying, can we get a 4-hour special podcast this week on how to stop Xavier Worthy? No, you absolutely cannot. Because he's fine. He's not 4 hours special stop. Patrick Mahomes is 4 hours special concerning. Chris Jones is 4 hours special worthy. Like Xavier Worthy's not of that level. Like he's fine.
I'm assuming it's a joke. That is my assumption. I'm gonna. You can't. Maybe. Yeah. But I might do an extra pod. I might talk Greg into trying to do an extra pod this week.
You want to know what? We had a weird discussion in the chat about what Mr. Brightside is about. I won't get into that. But Patton here gives an actual good explanation, saying Brightside is a song about something you love betraying you and still having hope. It fits Bills games anytime. This is good. That's a good explanation. I'll give you credit for that. I agree with Aaron still that we shouldn't have played it in that spot. But this is a good explanation. It's a good explanation.
No, Patton, you're not getting away with it for me.
This is the best one. Zach saying, when to play Brightside is our problem. I love it. That is a great comment. That is
now we're talking.
This is our life now as Bills fans. This is us now. This is what we do.
Yeah.
So Aaron, we have now broken the mini curse of the
divisional round.
We got over the AFC team that I won't lie that I was more worried about. I feel free going into KC. Kansas City has been winning with black magic and crazy juju all season. Games they didn't deserve, but they could do it again next week. They have Patrick Mahomes. They have Andy Reid.
Yeah.
They have the ability to pull rabbits out of hats any freaking time. But we know we can beat them because we've done it. We've done it multiple times. We haven't done it in the playoffs.
Exactly.
We have to get this monkey off our back. We have to find a way to do it. We have to go into Arrowhead, into KC. What are your thoughts on this game, beating the Baltimore Ravens, getting through the divisional round, and now winning 2 playoff games this season?
I don't have thoughts about it right now because I am only savoring this team getting to the AFC Championship. People will say it's a loser mentality to celebrate these small victories. You can't stop me. I'll mute you. You can tell me to stop, but I'll just mute you if you do. I'm going to just enjoy this one. I agree with you that logically, I think the Bills can beat Kansas City. I don't think Kansas City's played great football this year, but damn, this team find ways to win. But and that's concerning. They're a team that's
weather looks weirdly good next week. 42 degrees, mostly cloudy, maybe in the upper 30s. Decent weather. We should be good.
I think the Bills are the second most battle-tested team in the NFL. They have the second best playoff run. They are tied for one of the most consecutive seasons with playoff victories. So there's not a lot of teams that are more tested than them in the postseason and know how to win more than the Bills have. So in the last 5-6 years here in the postseason, Kansas City is the team that is ahead of them. And I always have lived by that motto. You've done these shows with me for long enough, Greg, of like, until you do it, I have a hard time picking it, right? Like I got to see it before I'll pick it. And I don't know if that's a spoiler alert for my prediction coming into this week. We'll have to get into Casey a little bit more as we get ready, but I'm not ready to go there. I want to celebrate this win. It's the day off tomorrow. We got Martin Luther King Day tomorrow. So got a lot of time to get into some film and really enjoy this victory. And that's where my head's at.
Yeah, 100%. It's really, really good. I just looked over, and apparently me unleashing some of my receipts. I currently have 235 notifications on Twitter. So apparently those receipts are going over well in Ravens fans mentions. So that's going to be fun to check out. I'll read that in the morning. I'll let them marinate on that for the evening. I'm going to marinate on that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to relish rubbing this in the face of some really, really cocky Ravens fans. Again, I like the Ravens as a team. I don't dislike them. I like a lot of their players. Cal Van Noy and Cal Hamilton's awesome. Derrick Henry's fun. Lamar Jackson's great. I like the coaching staff. I like John Harbaugh a lot. I think that they're a fun team. I like their content creators. Their fans are the worst. So I'm going to enjoy rubbing it in their face for a little bit, and then I'll switch gears and get ready for Kansas City.
Yeah. I surprisingly there was a weird one about the turf that I got into it with some of their fans about, or like telling me how turf works. Other than that, I was still able to avoid the fan base stuff for the most part here this week, but I saw it more this week than ever because I saw people retweeting it. Guys like you and Eric randomly getting into it with fans, which I never see.
Eric
But
usually doesn't take the bait.
No, but I still personally stated so I don't have receipts for this stuff, but I will enjoy all of you guys being petty and putting the receipts out there for this one. But I'm gonna die. I can't wait for this film to load tomorrow morning. So make sure you're following all of us. Greg for the pettiness. Eric and I probably first thing tomorrow morning is going to start ripping through some of these cool plays. I got some ones highlighted that I want to check out because I don't want it to be lost in all of this. The defense has gotten a lot of grief in these postseason moments, and this one was one that scared me the most against one of the best historically good offenses in the league. And I know in the box score, having a team score 25 points on you, it doesn't look like a great defensive performance, but it was. There was a lot of really great defense baked into this in this playoff performance. So I'm going to be spending my day celebrating that tomorrow.
Yeah, them stepping up and making the stops when it mattered is what the real important part was.
Yep.
So again, make sure you check it out. We're gonna have awesome coverage all around the network. Check out the guys over at Roundup, Air Raid Hour, the Film Room, Disguise coverage, under review. The entire staff is gonna be fantastic stuff. I can't wait to see the Film Room feature Eric pulls up for this one, and then we switch gears and we get ready for the AFC Championship game. AFC Championship game. That's right. Which sadly is the Patrick Mahomes Arrowhead Memorial, just annual invitational there. But this time,
we're invited.
We can make it a little bit different. We are invited, and we're going to go give it our all. So thank you guys very, very much. We got producer Chris here in, I think, his resort room at Disney, just checking in on the phone. We appreciate him very, very much. Awesome producer. But on behalf of our guys here at Cover One and Aaron Quinn, our host over at West Her, I am your host, Greg Thompson. You've been listening to Cover One Buffalo, and we are out.